Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Batino, and on today's episode, we have Vijayalakshmi Karuppasamy. She's a seasoned entrepreneur with over 13 years of experience in entrepreneurship, innovation, and education. She's on a mission to impact the lives of thousands by equipping students and entrepreneurs with the technology and business skills they need to succeed. And she is the founder of Fox Academy, an edtech startup, and ATIK Energy Solutions, a renewable energy company. Before we start, here's a quick introduction to myself, your host. I run two businesses in Japan. Smart Start Japan helps with incorporation and government subsidies and loans. Feel free to reach out or visit smartstartjapan.com. Second, scaling your company. We are a revenue growth agency. For sales, we provide affordable sales advisory and online courses. For marketing, we provide advisory and digital marketing services to grow your revenue. Feel free to reach out or visit scalingyourcompany.com. Now back to the episode. It's really good to have you, Viji. And so I think transitioning from listener to guest.
Cool.
And could
Thank you, Tyson. Thank you so much for the great introduction. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Vijayalakshmi Karuppasamy. Call me Viji. Um, I'm a I'm from India, but right now I live in Japan. Okay, I'm a founder and CEO of Fox Academy KK. So Fox Academy is a tech startup. We provide online AI education for Japanese market in both language, English and Japanese. So apart from Fox, I'm founder of another startup. It's called ATIK Energy Solution. Now, ATIK Energy Solutions is my first startup. Now it's got acquired by my competitor. So yeah, right now I'm in Japan. Last 1.5 years I live here. I'm happy to share my experience and yeah, all the best to everyone who is looking to enter Japanese market. Yeah, thank you.
yes, and I think you're the first person, I guess, company who's gotten the startup visa from India, right?
First South Indian. I think I'm the second Indian, but I'm the first South Indian who got this visa, startup visa from India. Yeah.
Excellent. And yeah, so for the listeners on today's episode, we wanted to focus on the startup visa because we get a lot of questions about it. There's information out there, but I don't think there's ever been like a podcast or interview episode on the startup visa and the reality of it. I think you hear a lot about the hype, you hear about the announcements in the news, but to hear from someone who's experienced it and has transitioned to the business manager visa, it's so I hope to kind of answer a lot of those questions. And Viji, so where did you get a startup visa from?
Okay, it's a good question. I got my startup visa from Hokkaido government. So before giving my startup journey, like startup visa experience, I want to give a quick introduction why I chose Japan, why I chose
Perfect. Yes.
Hokkaido, because that is a start. That story is very important. As a startup founder, for every single decision is very, very important. So Fox Academy, initially we started for Indian market. Yeah, we focus only Indian market. But before COVID, I started to get there is a university from Japan. They wanted to send their students to India. I'm from Bangalore, so they wanted to send their students to Bangalore, like my office, to take our course. That time it was an in-person session. Then, yeah, because that was a starting journey with Japan. Then, till COVID, we used to get almost like every 2 months, once we used to get students from Japan. We got students from different university. Then, because after COVID, like everyone else, we also like forced to move to online. So that was a very good opportunity to explore Japanese market at that time. And we launched different courses. We did our pilot projects that gave us very strong confidence to enter Japanese market. Why I'm saying this statement, entering to Japanese market, of course, entering to any other market, international market is very important, especially in Japan. If you're very serious into this market, then startup visa is the good option. Like I mentioned, almost 3 years we have, even before we are coming to Japanese market, before personally I moved to Japan, almost 3 years we had experience with Japanese market. So we were very clear, like we have done all our homework before coming to Japanese market. So that time I did a lot of my research, which visa is very suitable for Japanese like market entry. Then I found out startup visa. So there is a person named called Miho Tanaka. So she is very active. She's one of the kind of very strong leader in startup ecosystem. So I read her article. Then I realized that startup visa is the perfect match for Japanese entry. So that was a starting journey. So my the first kind of suggestion to everyone who is listening this podcast. So just make sure startup visa is a very serious, like it's very, how to say, time taking process, and it's at the same time very very powerful visa. So just make sure you are very strong, confident, like you are very clear to enter Japanese market. It's not like, I can give a try. No, it's not like that. You have to be very
Yes.
clear that what you're going to do. Yeah.
And so I've talked to several startup cities. It's not a complaint, but the things they sometimes laugh about is like, we get all these applications from people who just want to live in Japan.
Yes. Even I have seen many people. That's why I'm telling, like, it's not only for our time. It not, we are taking of course, government time. Like, no, they are putting so much of effort and energy, and we have to respect the mission of the startup visa. So it's not like, and if you want to live Japan, there is a lot of other visas. You can use that one. The startup visa, it's for people who really serious into business. So just make sure this is very very important, not only for you, like for everyone. Yeah.
Yes, and
Thank you.
there's a lot of different visa types. And the other thing I think a lot of people don't know about the startup visa is that it's actually not a permanent visa. There is a limit to
Yes.
how long it is. Could you tell the audience how long?
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, to continue my this story, like why I chose Hokkaido. Of course, once we decided to enter Japan, then I did my research about like startup visa. So I reached out different prefer, because here every city government they give this startup visa. So of course, like everyone, we prefer like a Shibuya because it's like a heart of whole Japan, right? So
Yeah.
yes, I did, but based on my research and based on my, I had a conversation with most of city government, like the startup visa initiative, like the leaders. Then personally, I liked Hokkaido's team because Sapporo government, there is a separate initiative called Startup Hokkaido. So they are taking care of this whole initiative, especially onboarding startup visa holders from other countries. So I really like the way the whole team, the government initiative, the way they work together. And the another main reason, Hokkaido is a very, very strong education hub. It almost has like more than 40 universities. So for our business, it's a very, very strong entry, because in Japan, every prefecture, this is my personal understanding. Based on my research, like here, system is very similar. Almost 70 to 80%, the whole Japan system is very similar. You can see, I'm come from the country where like every city, like every state, we are so different. It's like a different country. But in Japan, almost like system is very similar. So once you build success story in one prefecture, so it's very easy to take that business model to other prefecture. Prefecture is, it's similar to like state. So that is the main reason I chose personally. Like we decided to go with Hokkaido because Hokkaido is an untapped market, and Hokkaido has a very strong international student resource, especially from Hokkaido University. So based on my visa, like we were the kind of first batch, so it's easy to enter compared to other. Shibuya is very competitive, so
Yes, it's I would say in Shibuya, there's probably not a lot of resources to help you. It's kind of plus you're in Tokyo, so you're kind of on your own as well. But
exactly.
in other areas, like Hokkaido or Sapporo, Fukuoka, they do help the startups. Sometimes the startups they do need a boost, especially to get in the first introductions. For the
Right.
listeners, I think one thing you probably don't know about Hokkaido is that Hokkaido University is a top 10 university in Japan, maybe even top six. I
Yes,
don't,
a lot of international students. So we can get bilingual student like who can speak English and Japanese, international, and even Japanese student who can speak English. So that was a very very strong point. And there is like even the pay, stipend, everything is very comparatively Tokyo it's less.
the stipend is less for students.
Yeah, like
Oh, I didn't know this.
yes.
I didn't know so there's something called the Mombu Kagakusho, or let's say Ministry of Education. They have a scholarship for university students,
Mm.
especially grads, some of the PhDs, and they receive livelihood stipend as well. And a lot of them, but because they're receiving the stipend, they also want to do work that will be connected with their future career. So I think Viji and my company ourselves, we do have a lot of students who help out our company who are very talented.
Very talented. To be very, yes, like almost like after 1.5 years, especially from Sapporo, I worked with them almost like 4 5 interns. They are very smart, very smart.
We'll probably post a link to an article on it, but we wrote an article in Startup Cities. A lot of cities has like an area that they want to focus on. Some are very general, but like for example, if it's manufacturing or digital transformation for manufacturing, Nagoya Aichi Prefecture is a good place to
Yeah,
potentially start your business. I'll ask you about Sapporo in a little bit. Fukuoka, they're trying to put some effort into fintech is an area they're focusing on. And I think also they're focusing on, so it's not startup visa, but it's also digital nomad visa as well for Fukuoka. But how about in Hokkaido? What do you think is kind of the focus there? Or what does Hokkaido want based on
okay.
what you
So yeah, of course, like everyone knows Hokkaido is like it's a brand. So Hokkaido is mainly they're focusing green transformation because Hokkaido is a very known for agriculture. So Hokkaido is a whole food supplier for whole Japan. Even especially Tokachi region, and I was so surprised when I visited Obihiro. Like they are rich, really rich. Even they have like they have their own golf ground, So here agriculture is a very strong sector. So second one is like tourism. Hokkaido is very known for tourism. So these two major. In case if you are startup mainly into green transformation, it can be anything, renewable energy or like anything related to green transformation. I highly recommend even like in agriculture. I highly
Hmm.
recommend to consider Hokkaido, and of course tourism. So Hokkaido is the most beautiful place, like to visit. I think most of foreigners they love to visit Hokkaido. So even including me, there is around like I think seven or almost we are 10 startup visa holders. Last year we landed in Sapporo. So most of them from different backgrounds. So I'm from education, edtech startup. So the few other startups like green transformation focused and tourism, especially Victor's startup is mainly focusing to tourism. So it's a very good place. In case if you are startup into these two areas, I highly recommend Hokkaido.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's and Shibuya is a bit of everything, but I would say if you're into probably I'm not sure about crypto anymore, but I'll say blockchain, that's one that Shibuya has mentioned that they're interested in supporting.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing I want to cover as well is so for the startup visa, I get a lot of people who reach out to me who I wouldn't say they are, they're not a technology startup,
Okay.
but so, and I wanted to kind of break this. So, from my understanding, you don't actually have to be a tech startup to get the startup visa, but I've seen people who have like a restaurant or, something that, doesn't really scale, and I've seen them get denied.
Actually,
And
it's you are right. Even recent, I hope you know that Agnes, like the wasabi guy who recently got startup visa. He has like wasabi farm, like vertical wasabi indoor farm, like
yes.
Yeah, it's a very good example for it's not tech startup, but he of course he has his own technology to improve the production, but it's completely away from IT background. So Hokkaido is accepting other startups, and of course, if your idea is very unique.
The unique. I think the unique is a good
Mhm.
point.
Yeah.
So like even if you have a restaurant, if you have a very unique concept
Yes.
that can help the city, let's say, stand out, grow, scale, they might possibly be injured. But if you're just a standard, normal business, it's
Startup visa is not the right option.
yes. So they might not did. So the thing is, they might not deny you up front, but I've seen a lot of people waste their time. So that uniqueness is really the key point.
Because mostly the startup visa, they created the main purpose of startup visa to bring the innovation and creative. And of course, we have to support the local government because we are going to pay tax, everything, the local government, right? So um, that we have to consider how much we are going to contribute to the ecosystem. That is very, very important. Like, like Tyson said, if you have like a normal business, I don't recommend to go with a startup visa. It's waste of time for everyone. Directly, you can go for a business manager visa in that case. Startup visa, something tech startups, and of course any other startup which is very unique, like that Wasabi form, something like that. Yeah.
Is it innovative? And
Yes.
does it contribute in a unique way that just maybe a normal business might not?
Yes.
And so I guess so I think going into the details of the start, now that we've talked a little bit about the startup visa, I guess why it was created, so
Mhm.
you covered, and also like what they're looking for, what they're not looking for. I guess what's involved in getting the startup visa. So I guess my question would be like, what paperwork do you have to do?
Okay, so now I consider like, audience, like listener, they are some like, they wanted to apply startup visa. The first step, I'll share my journey. I did like little different. So if you once you decided Japanese market, then you decided, okay, I'll go with startup visa. Then you can apply startup visa even before coming to Japan. Like you can apply from your own country. In my case, I was here. I because I was so serious into this Japanese market. So I got my visitor visa. Literally, I stayed here for 3 months until I get my, startup visa. So in your case, like, example, if you're applying from your own country, you can do that. So the paperwork first start with, you have to, the moment you decide startup visa, like Japan startup visa, first you have to decide which city government you want to process. So like Tyson, and of course I discussed, like, you based on your business model, based on the sector, you have to choose. Like if you're related to green transformation, tourism, then you have Hokkaido is a very good option. If, anything related to biomedical, then Kansai area, especially Kobe and Osaka, they are
I
very
forgot to
beautiful.
mention that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kobe. You know I love you. And
Yeah,
sorry, I forgot to
me too.
mention.
I love Kobe. So depends on the your sector, startup, like your sector, you have to choose, because that is very, very important, because that is going to decide your future in Japan. So just be very careful. It's not like where I can get visa easily. That is important, but before that you have to decide which city government you are going to choose. That is the first step. So once you decided, example, I consider you guys are decided to choose like a Hokkaido, then you have to reach out the particular team who is taking care of that startup visa in application. So every city government, they have a separate initiative. So in Hokkaido, it's called Startup Hokkaido. Shibuya, it's called like a Shibuya Startup Support. It's similar, like every city government. So you have once you decided, then you have to approach the team, and they will respond you back. In my case, I reached out to Mego-san, and she we had like one-to-one like a meeting even before I'm coming to Japan. So she explained all the details about the startup visa, and why we have to choose Hokkaido, and what is the benefit for Fox Academy, and what is the benefit for like what they are expecting from us. Like that understanding is very important. She gave me very clear on structure. So then once, like, you get that information, because talking to the right person is very, very, very important. Then they will guide you like what is the next step. So in my case, then Megosen send me that application form. That application form, it seems like one form, but we need to do a lot of preparation to submit that form. That is the
I get you. That one page, but a lot of details, right?
yes.
What are some of the details you had to provide? I think like 3-year business plan or something, I think is one.
3 years. So it comes with like, normal, like, your name, like application name, like your basic address, like your home country address, everything. 4 key areas you have to focus. The first one is schedule entrepreneur activities. Like this one, you have to give 1 year activity, not 3 years, because
Uh,
startup is actually, it's for 6 months. Okay, so startup visa, you guys has to understand, it is for preparation. It is not for business. So the startup visa first they'll give for 6 months, and after 6 months, if you want to like renew, then we can renew for another 6 months. So it's a period is like 6 months plus 6 months, so totally 1 year. So
and so
first,
you can't go more than 1 year, right? with the startup visa.
Startup visa only 1 year. After within 1 year, we have to do the we have to change our visa to business manager visa. So once you complete startup visa 1 year, that's it. So before your visa completes, you have to change to business manager visa. So the first time when you are going to apply startup visa, you have to submit that entrepreneurial activities. It covers like your 1 year of your activities, and month wise. You have to. That is a tricky point. You have to give example, if you're applying month of like January, then Jan 2024 to Jan 2025, you have to give like first month what are the activities you are going to cover. Like second, that was to say, how to say, it's easy to say, but when you have to put it everything in your paper, it's really hard. Okay, and we
You
have to
have
convince them. It's not like just filling the form. They
and you
will
have to be
validate you.
concise.
Yes.
So
So
we
second
sell.
one is finance plan. That is again so entrepreneur activities and finance plan. It's for 1 year. Again, finance plan also we have to give monthly wise that is very very important. And of course they will they used to give a template. It's not like you have to prepare everything on your own. They will give the template. So it depends on the city government. I think templates will be different. So Hokkaido government, Migos shared all the documents. So we just fill the form.
Gotcha. So I think
Yeah.
for Hokkaido, it might be kind of like a 1 year plan with, like your monthly expenditures, what you plan to do. I think I've heard one where you have to give one city you have to give a 3 year, but
Good.
I think the second, third year is just kind of a general plan. So how long is it again for Hokkaido that you have to prepare?
Once you have this entrepreneur activities, finance plan, and of course you have to show 5 million yen. You don't need to invest, but you have to show 5 million yen in your bank account, your home,
Oh, even for the
your
startup
personal bank
visa.
account. Yes.
Just because they needed to make sure that you have the capital to get the
For your
business
living,
manager
the
visa.
survival.
And yeah, so for the listeners, it's to get the business manager visa, you need a 5 million yen in capital in the bank, or the
Yes.
5 million yen equivalent in a foreign bank account.
Yes, so you have to show that bank account passbook proof like you have enough money, because the startup visa period you cannot do any business. So you have to make sure you have enough money in to live, like for survival money. So they are very clear with that, because in Japan every day you spend, you have to spend money. It's a very expensive market, so you have to be very clear. It's not like kind of tourism. So we are here for business, and every day at least minimum you need 10,000 yen to live your
But,
day.
but I believe you can do it. You can do business validation, right? Yeah, you can meet potential clients, see if your
Yeah,
idea
that
is
we
a
can.
match.
Even we can make revenue, like as in my case, like as a founder, I can we can get a sales like a revenue to my account, but there is a limit. We cannot exceed I think less than 2 million or something. There is some limit we have.
Ah,
So
I see. For the
yeah.
amount of sales in
Yeah.
Japan.
But so in my suggestion, so I took 1 year for the transition, like a startup visa to business manager visa. So startup visa, so like I mentioned, you can apply from your home country before coming to Japan. So you have to submit all the form, then they will do the like Startup Hokkaido. In my case, like Startup Hokkaido, they did all the validation. So along with this two form, you have to submit other like a business act, everything. You have to give every single details. What is your business model? And who is your target audience, and it's similar to our, like, now if you have a very strong pitch deck, then you can answer all
It's
those questions. You need the support from the Hokkaido team, because like your city government, which city you prefer, because every detail is very very minute. So we need to, so that is the main advantage. If you are going for startup visa, we will get dedicated team who will support at least for the entire period, no, 1 year period.
gotcha. And you communicate with them through email or phone or
Right, and we have a
meetings?
Slack group. So once that team, so this is my experience from startup Hokkaido. Like Hokkaido, I don't know about like how other city government, like their startup thing is work. But Hokkaido, we have our own dedicated Slack group where Mikos and connect us with our Slack group where we can easily communicate either email or Slack. Mostly we prefer to communicate in Slack. It's very comfortable for us. Yeah.
Okay. Was that during the application process or after you're accepted, there's a Slack group?
In my case, I got she connected me before application form, because
Gotcha.
They're like fast batch, so everyone had like a similar.
Special, yeah.
Yeah. But now I can see after visa only they are connecting like new startup visa holders in a Slack. But email they are very flexible, right? Like if they answer all your questions. So once
Okay.
you submit an application form, after startup Hokkaido team validation, they will send it to Sapporo government, like the local government. And in my case, I think minimum 2 times they restored me back for some clarification, the details, whatever.
I see.
Yeah.
Are you able to share what they wanted clarification on, or is that a
So one thing is my financial sheet, because I did they gave me the calculate like everything, the Excel sheet including calculation. So I did small changes based on my business, but they asked me why I did the changes, the calculation, the formula, why I have changed. And they didn't ask me to follow the same like original structure, but they wanted me to give the clarification, that's justification why I did the changes. So once I gave that, then they said okay, yeah. So this is one part. And second, regarding my competitors, yeah, so we have to give everything, my competitor analysis. They wanted to check like in
Gotcha.
details, yeah.
And so you mentioned that I think Startup Hokkaido, they coordinated with, I guess, the Hokkaido government. So they'll kind of coordinate with immigration too, right?
Yeah. So once like all the process completed, we will get COE from Sapporo government, the local government. So for that, I think for my case, I think it took around like 1 month to 1.5 month. But like, it includes everything. And the point what I'm trying to say, if your application is very clear, perfect, you will not get much time. That is a specialty of Japan. If everything is
So
perfect,
in your
there is
case,
no
it
delay.
took 1.5 months, and that included going back and forth two
Yes.
times.
Yes. Then I got my
Okay.
COE. Then once we get the COE, then we have to submit that COE to embassy to
In
apply
your
startup.
home country. So you had to go back to
Yes,
India?
home country.
Yes.
In my
Yes.
case, I was stay like, I was here right in Sapporo, so I did all my process in Sapporo immigration office. I didn't go back to India.
Oh, so you did, even with the COE, you didn't need to have to
No.
go back. Oh, nice. That's cool. And also with the startup visa, you mentioned that you can't conduct business. And I think what that means is you can't create a bank account, right, with the startup visa.
No, we can. After startup visa, we can, but there is some restriction. Not all the banks are like okay with, because the minimum most of bank they expect 1 year visa
I see, yeah.
valid like a period, but startup visa like six, because they will our resident card it comes with only 6 months
Mm.
period. So in my case, yeah, but there is some exemption. So JP Post Bank they are accepting startup visa holders to open bank account. So like I mentioned, once you get resident card, like
And that
once you
would be
get,
a personal bank account.
yes, but that card in my case, like it's a cash card. Only I can withdraw money, deposit money. I cannot do any online transaction or anything, because there is no validity period or something, like there is no
I see
CVV,
what you
nothing.
gotcha.
Yeah. So you have a bank account, you can use, deposit the money and withdraw the money. That is the only, and of course you cannot how to say, once you get the startup visa, that is after startup visa, once you get the resident card. Another 1 week is very, very important. You have to update everything. Like you have to apply for a my number card, you have to apply for your insurance.
I see.
So board office will be your regular visit after startup visa. But my case, Migos and Inosan, they were with me in like the whole process. They even, because here they didn't like board office, they didn't speak much. They understood English, but for initial first visit, I got help from startup Hokkaido team. They were with me the whole process.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really useful to know. Okay, I didn't know you could make a personal bank account, so that's
We
cool.
can.
And would you have to, in your case, did you have to have 5 million yen in the personal account, or
No, no,
could you
not in
use
Japan
your,
bank account.
gotcha. It could
I
still
showed
be
my
your,
Indian bank account. Yeah.
awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it cost any money for the startup visa to submit or?
No. You don't need to pay any money or something. But again, if in my case I was here, so I have to spend my expense. But apart from that, if you're applying for a home country, there is no money until you get startup visa. Once you get startup visa, once you're ready to move to Japan, then immediately you have to take a rental house. Like you have to
Uh,
start which
But
one?
like for the visa itself, you don't have to pay any money for some
No,
Hokkaido
for
government just
visa there is no
you
money.
or any application fee,
Application fee, not application fee. There we have to put one stamp for that.
stamp.
They
Yeah.
charge like 4,000 yen. I forgot the
Ah,
exact.
gotcha. 4,000
That is
yen.
the
Yeah.
only money we spent.
And that 4,000 yen, I think that's the normal stamp fee for a visa for it.
Yeah,
So regardless of your visa, you would have to spend that 4,000.
right. Yeah.
Cool. And so I guess what things in at least the Hokkaido's case, like what things did you have to do on your own
Okay.
and what things did they help you with? So I guess like let's start with what you had to do on your own. So I think like
So
apartment or something.
got it. Like, so of course they will give the guidance. They will not do all of your work. Like, no, they will give the guidance. So you have to take the guidance and you have to do every work like on your own. In my, especially the startup is the first time when you're applying, they will guide you, but you have to do all the calculation, every documentation work on your own. And once you get the startup visa, only the first time, like, they will help you to visit like a ward office. But after that, like, finding office, finding how, even my case, they have connected me with a real estate agent. So then so like the main to be very honest, I really I was very happy with my decision going with the startup visa because they have very strong connection in Hokkaido. So they connect us with the right people, like a tax accountant, like a real estate agent, because we are very new to this system, right? Like we can, so they are connecting us with the right people. So, but after that, we have to take care, no, take care of it. In my case, they gave us like what are the office opportunities available. So only the information they provide, but final decision is our decision.
And do you have any other tips or maybe like I think you did share some yeah, you have to be sure that you want to enter
Yes, that
Japan.
you are serious about this market, then like because it's not, because why I'm saying this, because I'm from India. So India startup ecosystem is very different. Like there is no, not how to say, we don't need to invest so much of money in the initial period, but here everything, it's very expensive to survive here. So just make sure you have enough bank balance in your bank account, and you are very serious, and all the money you're going to invest. So you just make sure you are very serious into this business. And third tips, people, of course, everyone knows culture, language challenge, but my suggestion, don't prepare only for the language barrier, prepare for the cultural challenge. That is the main challenge, which we, even though we had like a very almost 3 years experience with Japanese market, the cultural challenge was very, very not a
Definitely.
barrier, but it was quite different to handle in my case. Example, like especially when you're moving to new house, you should know like how to pay the bill, even how to how to segregate the trash. It seems like very simple, but every single factor involves your time. Like no, you have to invest your time. So just be ready. And culture not only like how to handle the people. So Hokkaido people are very friendly, and I feel very inclusive here. That is one of the, even though they don't speak much English, but they are very happy and healthy people. They always smile at you. That I really liked it. Yeah.
And so from my experience, a lot of people or we do receive requests from people who reach out to us because they want a startup visa.
Okay.
And my general thoughts are the startup cities, they do receive a lot of requests
Sure.
from
Very sure.
and so when you deal with Japanese, the general thing is do your research in advance. So, I mean, just by you listening to this podcast episode, this makes you probably 90% ahead of everyone else. And I think if you just kind of go at it, like if you're respecting someone's time,
Yes.
that would greatly increase your chances because there's so many people, they just reach out like, oh, I want to start up visa. And it's like, okay. But yeah, just kind of like a plan why. And like if you just listen to how Viji spoke about how they approach it, I think that's kind of like what the ideal person is. And this is coming from someone who does receive a lot of requests for help for the startup visa.
Right.
And so next, so I think so you actually decided to transition to the business manager visa. So you decided to stay, I would say, to
Yes.
continue and do business in Japan. So I guess why did you make the decision to transition or stay in Japan?
It's a really good question. Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. So, startup visa, like I mentioned, it's a 6 months. After 6 months, you can renew. So, even before renew, second renew, like after 6 months, if you are very sure about this market, like and suppose you have enough money to invest, you can proceed with business manager visa directly. You don't need to wait until like 1 year, 1 year completion, because few of other fellow startup visa holders in Hokkaido, they got a business manager visa directly after 6 months. So because business manager visa comes with a lot of more than documentation work, we have to invest 5 million yen. That is for startup people like us, it's huge, right? So the main reason why personally we decided to go with business manager visa, like personally why I decided after 1 year of my journey with Japan gave me a very strong confident. Okay, we can proceed this market, because for Fox Academy we have done a lot of partnership contract signed during that period, and of course we expanded our team, like we hired team members from Tokyo, and like based on that, and of course the here lifestyle is very good, especially for startups. I'm like, I'm not going to say it's a very new ecosystem. It's already existing, but it's a new approach, which is not a very, how to say, in India is very different, right? So the point is, after 1 year, I decided, okay, we can proceed this market, and for education startup, it's huge market, almost $8 billion market, like a ocean. So we just here to pick a few drops from that ocean. So that gave us a very strong confidence. Time and money and energy is worth to proceed further. That is the main reason. And of course, I love Sapporo. I'm a Sapporo Jin now, so that made me to think. And it's not one more advice, like not advice, like suggestion. Don't restrict yourself in one region. It doesn't matter whether you're from Sapporo or Fukuoka or Kobe. Like even Sendai also giving visa, like startup visa. So Tokyo is very important. Because we are coming to Japan to business Japanese market, not only like particular prefecture, right? So Tokyo is very important. You can, because here Japan versus like a whole Tokyo versus whole Japan, something like that. Everything happens in Tokyo. So just make sure you have a strong connection, a strong, like networking connection, like business activities in Tokyo. In my case, I spend every 2 weeks, 2 weeks in Tokyo, 2 weeks in Sapporo. It sounds like I'm spending too much money. Actually, it is not. Sapporo and Tokyo flight ticket is very cheap, and Sapporo cost of living is 1/4 of Tokyo, expense. So and yeah, so the suggestion, just make sure you have a connection with the Tokyo. That is very important. Yeah.
I would agree 100% with that. I also live in Hokkaido. I wish I could live in Sapporo because Sapporo has 2 million, 2.2 million population. I live in the second biggest city with 300,000. But even us, we still have a direct flight to Tokyo. And that's
Mm.
also one reason why I do the podcast is so that although I'm not physically in Tokyo, let's say people in Tokyo can listen to me. And I have a full-time staff member in Tokyo. Hey, Ken, shout out to you. Probably a lot of listeners have met him already. But yeah, I agree. It's the connection to Tokyo is very important. And I think we were talking before about so I guess one actually, so my company and I have a partner, we're offering incorporation support, and one of the types of support we do is business manager visa support. And so I
Okay, got
think,
it.
and we do around, I think we incorporate on two to three companies each month.
Oh, that's huge. Okay.
And one thing that stood out to me about the startup visa is, and I don't mind it might decrease business in a way, but I think in your case, typically when someone wants a business manager visa, I strongly recommend you not do it yourself
Yes.
because it's very complicated. And so you would normally outsource it. So the standard going rate is between 250 and 300,000 yen for the business manager visa. We charge 220,000. Promoting ourselves there, it's a little bit, we charge a little bit less than the standard rate. But in VG, I think in your case, I think Hokkaido actually provided support with
Full
the
support. Yeah,
application. So you didn't have to
yes.
pay that extra 200.
Yes, nothing. even throughout this like startup visa, okay, one point I forgot to mention, like it comes with the grant subsidies, especially after it's got your startup visa, they will give a soft landing subsidy which covers your flight ticket and 6 months of your like 6 months of your rent, but there is some limitation. I think it like I think 300,000
Uh,
in for the exact number. It covers.
gotcha. 300,000 years would be the max. Gotcha.
Yeah. And one like for incorporate company incorporation also we'll get a subsidy. Like there is different subsidy depends on the city government. So this is a subsidy we got it from Hokkaido. Like I think Fukuoka they are giving a lot of subsidy. This is what my understanding. Yeah.
Yes. And if the listeners are curious about Fukuoka, you can listen to our episode with Fukuoka City.
Yeah. So it depends on city. Kobe is giving a different type of benefit. So you just listen like before choosing city, which city you want to proceed like startup visa. Just check because this benefits are like grant subsidies is very very important. I highly recommend that to use that. Yeah.
One of the common challenges I see with my consulting clients is not having any staff internally who can drive marketing strategy and execution to the next level. This really limits the growth trajectory of a company, especially for a leader like you that wants to go from 30 million to 500 million yen a year and does not have the time to spend years learning through trial and error. To solve this problem, I'm launching a marketing agency that can help companies like yours to increase leads and closing rates through SEO, Google Maps, content marketing, and websites that convert. Head over to scalingyourcompany.com and book a free consultation. Let's talk about what your business needs are, where your current strategy is letting you down, and how we can help you see real results with the methods I've successfully implemented at multiple companies myself. Now, back to the episode. And so for the business manager visa, so I think one unique point is that you didn't have to pay the visa fee. Did they help with kind of the business plan as well?
So business plan again, they will give the like suggestions, like they will give the guidance. We have business, of course, we are startup founders. We cannot expect our business plan from someone, right? So we have to do it
Yeah.
everything on our own. But whenever
But
you're stuck or if you need any additional information, you can reach out them so they can share
did
their.
they translate it into Japanese for you?
No, we submitted everything in English. And support
Interesting.
every time, like even for startup renewal, also we have to do the same process, but everything in English. There is no Japanese translation.
Interesting. So I'm not sure. Maybe they might have translated and not told, but typically, the business manager visa, the business plan would have to be in Japanese. So
So is
maybe
it
they did.
because we submitted like embassy immigration office when I also like applicant also. So we just gave all the same application form what we just, even I just took print out all my application form. We submitted in this is what my like I my understanding. We didn't do any translation part.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for confirming that. So with the business manager visa application, did you have to pay for anything or maybe just the stamp maybe?
So business manager visa, like I mentioned, once you decided like after 6 months of startup visa or after 1 year of startup visa, once you're ready to because business manager visa is again it's a very very it takes your time at least 3 months time for the preparation and it's a very very we are into legal things like we have to pay tax everything so it's very very crucial. So again I'm telling after 1 year of time like 6 months of time just you are very confident to proceed this market then go for business manager visa. So business manager is the first thing you have to. Okay, so that is one more point which I wanted to add. This 1 year of startup visa period, every month you have to report Sapporo government, like local government. It's like a review meeting.
With
Every
this, yeah, during the startup visa.
yes, and we have
Yeah.
to give the
Yeah.
our progress. It's not like once you get a visa, it's not like nobody's for like we have
Have
to.
fun, have fun, go travel.
Yeah. But like it's like and we can ask them if we need any support. In our case, I many times like I got a lot of support from Sapporo government, like to connect us with local universities, um, So they're very supportive. So that is also another process which we have to do, especially during that startup visa. So business manager visa, first you have to do your company incorporation. For that, you have to decide whether you want to go with the GK or KK. In our case, we decided to go with the KK. So KK is in India, like it's similar to private limited. Um, like you are eligible to do both. And startup visa to business manager is another additional, very important advantage. We don't need local representative. As a startup visa holder, we can start KK.
Yes, that is the
That is
huge advantage. Because if with the startup visa, because you're already in Japan with the visa, you can serve as the director of your company. But if you're outside of Japan, and that's why we get good business, is you actually have to have a Japanese collaborator.
yes,
That could be a Japanese employee, or they don't necessarily have to be a Japanese citizen. They could also be a permanent resident. They could be a spouse of Japanese or a spouse of permanent resident visa, or they could be a child of a permanent resident or a child of Japanese national. And then you would need someone with a long-term visa, the ones I described, or a Japanese citizen to incorporate on your behalf and then transfer the company to you. And so that's why we get good business, because not many people will be like, yeah, I want to be your CEO temporarily. It's like, no, that's a big ask. And so, yeah, that's why business has been good with us. And so, for example, in our case, we would create the company for you. My partner would be the CEO on paper. Then once the company's incorporated, we'll change it to your name. Then we'll apply for the business manager visa. That will probably take 2 or 3 months. And after that, we'll send you the documents. Then you come to Japan. You get the visa from your embassy. Then you come
yeah.
to Japan. But in Viji's case, Viji's has been in Japan. She didn't have to leave the country. And of course, our case, we do charge a fee to serve as your representative director.
That is a very strong advantage of especially from startup visa to business manager visa, because like Tyson said, the more we how to say more than money, we need to spend a lot of time, especially if you need local representative. Like it's just a huge, again, like no stress, stressful process. So in startup visa to business manager visa, we as a startup visa holder, we can start KK or GK, without local representative. So in my case, I'm the solo director for Fox Academy KK.
Actually, I do want to confirm one more thing. So after you incorporate, you have to send notifications to the tax authorities and labor office.
Yes. So
Is
in our case, this is what the process we did. So first we did, once we decided, okay, we are proceeding as business manager with the first step. What I did, we registered a company in KK in Japan. So for that, of course, again we got a guidance from our startup Hokkaido team. So they gave an option, so we can pick which solicitor we can proceed. So depends on
nice.
we can choose. So I chose Lida-san. So he helped. He speaks both language, so it was easy for me to proceed everything in English. So that is one thing. Second, you have to choose virtual office. Dedicated office before
Yes.
after startup visa, we have to
Gotcha. So
choose
for
virtual office.
startup visa, you don't have to have a dedicated office, right?
But we need a virtual office.
Okay.
Yeah, we need virtual office, but that is very less price. Like even 5,000 yen, there is a lot of virtual office options in Sapporo. But business manager is we need low private office. So there is some requirement, like size requirement. So in my case, I took my private office from Deep Tech Core. It's a core space, but they have own private space. So we took that
Gotcha.
office. Yeah.
And yet for the business manager visa, you need a private office space, which is you have a lock and key.
Yes, you have to send the picture. We have to send the photo of our chair, table, and a name board of your company, like everything. It has some kind of structure we have to follow. That guidance you will get it from your local, the startup team. They will give you like the structure. And another thing, tax. So before going to the business manager visa, you need three important steps, things you have to do. One is company incorporation. Second is private office office, like office. Of course, once you get the private office, then only you can register a company, incorporate a company, because you have to give. So actually, here something is different, because for to get a private office, we have to give a incorporation certificate. For incorporation, we need office address. So in what we did, using virtual office, we did company incorporation. Then we got private office. Once we get a permanent office, again we changed our
Yeah,
office.
so I think for the startup visa, that's one unique aspect where with the startup visa, you have the virtual office. And I guess to incorporate, you will need the virtual office, but to get the business manager visa, you need a private office.
Yeah,
And
startup
then,
visa virtual office is not like mandatory, but personally we prefer, because we have a business, we need office address. So in case if you are going to only your office use, that's a different package. But if you need address, then we have to pay extra to use, because for company incorporation we have to give a company address. So
yes, it has to be the term they'll use is a private office.
yes.
And
So once
so I
we get,
think
then again we have to change.
so in your case, yeah, you needed the virtual office to apply for to incorporate,
Yeah.
and then and let's say then you needed to be incorporated to get the physical office.
Okay, let me put it
Yeah.
this way. So we need to do company incorporation. That is a step one. For the company incorporation, we have to give our company address.
Yes.
So for that, we how to say, technically we have to our private office address, but the problem is for private office in Japan, they want company incorporation certificate. Okay, so that's a tricky point. So what we did, I used a virtual office address to register a company. Once we register a company, once we got the company incorporation certificate, we got a new office, private office. Because this is a permanent office, right? So once we get the permanent office, we need to change the address in our company
Yes,
incorporation.
yes.
It additionally it costs
And
around 30,000 yen. That one thing I really didn't like it, because we are ready to pay and we are ready to take a private office, but still they are not allowing us to take a private office because of this system. Yeah, so that is one thing, and even we gave this feedback to our support team, like it's additional cost and additional time.
how much was it to change the address?
30,000 yen.
Yeah, and that is a government fee.
It's a government pay. Of course, we get
Because
our
they had to
stipend.
change the articles of incorporation.
Yes, but good thing is we get grants for company incorporation, so that covers this.
I see. But I guess in your case it was just the time.
Yeah, time. Actually,
And
time.
and just to confirm, wait. So one was to incorporate.
We need office address. We need office address, not physical address. We need office address.
Okay, yeah. So yes, to incorporate you needed the virtual office address.
Office address. So it can be
Yes.
virtual office. Yeah.
Then you incorporated. Then after you incorporated, then you switch to the private office.
Yes. Then
Yes,
we need to
because
create a new office address.
yeah, that is correct. Then you had to change the address of the articles of incorporation to the new address, which is
Right.
30,000 yen. And that's just that's subsidized and the government does it for you. Typically, you might have to pay an additional probably 40,000 yen
Yes.
for the scrivener to make the changes.
Right.
And then, yes, because for the business manager visa, you need a private office.
Yes. If you're
But if
Japanese,
you have,
then
if you're
yeah.
Japanese or you're a permanent resident, you can create a company without the need for the private office. You can just get a
Yes.
virtual.
Yes.
Cool.
It's mainly
We
for
got it.
visa. Yeah.
Yes, it is a requirement of the
There's
visa.
one more thing we have to do before,
Yes.
sorry, business manager visa. The tax, sales tax, and pension office. Like there is a three
Yes,
doc.
the
We have to.
post-incorporation notifications to the tax authorities. And
Yes.
I think in that case, Sapporo didn't do it, but you did the tax one through an accountant.
Yeah, but they connected me with accountant, my
Yeah.
account. Yeah. So business manager visa, like notification of the opening of salary payment office, and and withhold tax, income tax. There is kind of three documents we have to submit, and a tax registration with the national tax agency. So these three documents, your accountant will help you to complete the process.
Yes.
Again, we
And
have to pay.
it's something we help our clients with, but if you have an accountant on retainer, or actually I can introduce you to the accountant Viji used. And
See, we
let's
both
say,
the same accountant. What can I
yeah,
say?
yeah. So I can make the introduction and they could do it as well. Most Japanese accountants, they're not willing to do it unless it's on retainer, but I know someone who would be willing to do it without being on retainer.
Yeah.
And how about for the labor ones? Did you have to, like for the labor, like salary and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that okay. So once we done this process, like once I submitted the application, like after your company incorporation, within 3 months, you have to inform to your labor. It's a pension office where we have to, because as a founders we have to take salary. So for that we need to update
Yes.
all. We also employee, right? So we have to update all the details. So within
And
three
for
months.
business manager, it's some people's or the safe number is 250,000 yen a month.
Yeah, actually, that is safest amount because here we need to pay like lot of money for tax. So, 250,000 yen we had put salary for us.
Is the safe number to ensure that you can
Yeah.
renew your business manager visa.
Yeah. This is a basic, like this is a minimum. So we have to do that. We have to go with that number. So yeah, in my case, I did that, and once we have to go because insurance, everything we have to change from our personal health insurance to corporate health insurance. So for that, we have to update all the details. So once we done, they will send you a letter for the transition, the insurance transition. So then that is separate process. Business manager visa, it's a separate process. This insurance process is a separate process.
Did Hokkaido help you with that, or did
Yeah,
you
yeah, they
work
did
with
it. Even Megos
oh
and
for the
came.
labor one?
Yes, even Megos
Oh
and came.
wow.
Yeah, to the war that labor officer.
Oh wow. That saved you 33,000 yen there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
So
in our case, until the startup, until we get business manager visa, we get support from the startup Hokkaido team. But after that, it's not like they are like it's not like you are not how to say it's not like you are not a part of it or something like that. We use a Slack channel to check get a support, and monthly once they do meet up where startup visa holders we can attend, and we now we call it as a startup visa graduates, not visa holders. So we can ask question from them like that monthly ones. But if you are a startup visa holder, you can throughout year you can get the support from them.
cool. Thank you very much for sharing. So
Yeah,
I
thank.
think it's I've learned some new things as well because it's I don't know too many people who transition from startup visa to business manager. So it's interesting to see the differences between like my experience of helping people with the business manager and the
Ah,
costs versus the startup visa. Yeah, no, I think you can save quite a so I think you had to pay for the accounting fee, but all all in all, and I think you had to pay, for the office. But I think outside the office, yeah, you possibly saved. Oh, and they pay the incorporation fees as well, right, for the
yeah,
KK. So that's 200,000 yen.
yeah. That covers almost your incorporation related. Even for accountant, we didn't pay much. Like only 13,000 yen we paid. It's
Uh,
not much. Yeah, it's not huge. But after like one, if you like you said, if you need accountant like every month, you want to retain as then you have to pay monthly. That again depend completely up to you. Like
yeah.
all the
Thank
best guys. Like if you are planning to come to Japan, as a startup visa or like startup visa graduate, I highly recommend this option. And just make sure you are mentally prepared and you are very clear with this market and be ready for the cultural challenge. And yeah, that is the only thing. Apart from that, like it's a beautiful country to live. I love Japan. Even I didn't go back to my home country almost last 1.5 years. I'm going next month. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Viji.